Alright guys, today we have some more Seth, and this was requested by Commissar Hood, and it's Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodline review, the Final Nights edition. Oh my god, I need to shave. In any case, so, I've watched a good amount of stuff by Seth, and never fails to disappoint how utterly messed up he is in the head, and I can't wait to see more of this. So, not a big intro, not a big anything like that. Let's get into it. Hit buttons. There
Tonight, I'll be covering one of my favorite RPGs, a cult classic that brings you back no matter how many times you finished it. Do you love shopping at Hot Topic? Do you hate natural sunlight? Have you ever wanted to suck off the homeless? If you answered yes to any of those, then I know exactly the game for you. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, released in 2004 by Troika Games. Bloodlines takes place in modern-day LA, but our story begins in the Old Testament. So, to understand the lore, I'll need you all to whip out your Bibles and flip to Genesis 4. Remember Cain and Abel? In the Bible, the two brothers made offerings to God. Abel offered the Lord some lamb chops. Cain gave him some Weetabix or some shit. Naturally, God liked Abel's offer a lot more. So Cain disabled his brother by murdering him with a fucking rock. God was very unhappy with Cain. For killing his brother? Nah, God doesn't give a shit. Cain's crime was murdering his brother and then having the audacity to lie to God. In the Bible, God punishes Cain to wander the earth. In Vampire the Masquerade, God punishes Cain by giving him superpowers.
Cain, for crimes against your creator and your fellow man, I sentence you to immortality. I'm also giving you super speed and super strength. You can also turn invisible. Would you like to polymorph as well? Sometimes I like to turn into a burning bush and scare the shit out of Moses.
Anyway, God turns Cain into the first vampire. The only downside, he can't walk in the light and he has to drink the blood of others to survive. God's true punishment is giving Cain the ability to sire children. But with immortality, the only thing left to fear is death itself. That fear becomes paranoia, jealousy, hatred, not for humans, but for your own kind. And that fear ends up consuming you. Just as Cain murdered his brother, he is now forced to watch for all eternity as generations of his own children murder each other. Where do you come into all of this? You're a random schmuck who gets embraced against your will in a seedy LA hotel. When you wake
That's always nice.
up, you're a vampire. But before you get comfortable, the Camarilla boys break in, stake for both of you, and ship you off to vampire court. Turns out, siring vampires without permission is a big no-no and a violation of a masquerade, which is basically a loose set of rules to keep mortals from finding out about the supernatural, and from realizing that Vladimir Tepes was, in fact, a high-level Tsimisi who turned Romanians into dining chairs.
Legit.
Because if humans ever found out, that's a guaranteed death sentence for every vampire on Earth. The judges make their verdict. Your sire gets decapitated by Magilla Gorilla, the African muscle man behind Sebastian LaCroix, Camarilla Prince of LA. And you're next on the chopping block. Oh well, at least you got laid. However, Nines Rodriguez, leader of the LA Anarchs, protests against your immediate execution. Suddenly struck with a flood of emotion and newfound empathy, LaCroix decides to spare you your life. Instead, he sends you off on a suicide mission to get killed somewhere else. Clueless and alone, you're thrown into this game as an unwilling pawn in a world of darkness.
What? Oh, man. And you're a goddamn Malkavian, too. Wow. You really are fucked.
But as with any chess game, if you underestimate the pawn, you've already lost. Survive, understand, and identify the other pieces on your board. Once you do, you'll have to make a choice between being a player and being a pawn. And I should warn you, a pawn is always sacrificed to protect the king. Before you start, you have to pick your clan. There are 7 to choose from. They're generally very interesting and offer unique approaches to the game. Bruja and Gangrels are hobos and furries, respectively. They're very hot-tempered and have poor impulse control. Tremere can do this.
Yeah,
They're
that works.
basically undead blood mages.
There you
Toreador
go.
are the very definition of vampire sluts. Being a room temperature piece of ass does have its advantages though, and lets you get what you want without conflict. Ventru are like vampire aristocracy.
God.
Basically, they're assholes who think they're too good for sucking off the homeless.
There you go.
Don't say that to their face though, or you might find your neck snapped. Nosferatu are hideously deformed. Women ignore you or call the police when they see your face.
Nice.
Yeah, what'll it be? Lord! Oh, sweet Jesus!
Damn, man. Don't be sneaking up on a brother with your crackhead skin disease test tube baby looking ass. Damn, this shit my pants. I don't sell no soap, so what the hell you want?
So, really, no different from being alive. Malkavians are batshit insane. Their curse makes them unhinged, unstable, and even worse, completely lucid and prophetic. They can also spread this insanity to others. As a
Ain't that
result,
polite.
they've got some of the best interactions and dialogue options in the entire game. Which may or may not include talking to stop signs and
Nice.
being interrogated by your own television.
And that the source of the detonation possibly came from you. Hey, heard anything? Kind of musky.
It's no small secret that Clan Malkavian is my favorite.
Of
If
course
it's your
it would
first
be.
time playing Bloodlines, I recommend playing any clan which isn't Malkavian or Nosferatu. Why? Because the Madness Network isn't random. It's foreshadowing. It's knowledge you know but shouldn't. And all of these revelations will go over your head when you
okay.
can't make sense of it. Also, getting spotted out in the open is an instant Masquerade violation.
Every day we stray further from God. Every day. I can't get over that. That just disturbs me.
For Nosferatus, which could result in your immediate death. It's better for seasoned
Polite.
players who already know who and where everyone and everything is. Also,
Okay.
I hope you like sewers, because you're gonna be seeing a lot of sewers as a Nosferatu. Hope you packed snacks. But why would I play this old-ass game a second time, Seth? I got a lot of stuff to do. I got a reading to catch up on, because, you goddamn zoomer, the game isn't very long. Length isn't the point of it. It's the choices you make, and there's a lot of different choices you can take depending on your character, which come back to help or haunt you in the future. It's a very well contained and believable world that never breaks your suspension of disbelief. You
Good.
might be turned off by the vampires, and to tell the truth, I was too. So
I always found it extremely annoying that people would be like, oh, you know, it's dark fantasy. It's like, okay, this is dark fantasy. Then they try to watch dark fantasy from other countries, and it's an utter horror show. Like, okay, dark fantasy in America looks like that. Dark fantasy in other countries looks far different.
was my mom, and now she's probably finished the game more times than me, because this game isn't about vampires, the undead, or the supernatural. It's about humans, and regardless of whether they're mortal or damned flesh, they all act, think, and feel human. They've got real fears, hopes, and motivations which drive their character. Every single character, no matter how central or insignificant they are to the plot, are written fantastically well. And that's a big
Good.
praise you hear for this game. The story and the dialogue, which has some goddamn amazing voice acting.
I honestly have never played this game, and I probably should have, because why not?
I am the proprietor and salesman of the month several years in a row. The ladies call me, oh God, but you can call me Fat Larry with a F-A-T, cause I know I got a weight problem, I just don't give a fuck.
I see your
There you go.
face is not so lifeless. Your nerves not so deadened that you cannot express shock. Tell me, child, is my appearance that frightening? Or is it my knowledge of you that is so unnerving?
Hey! Welcome to Sang's Herbal Remedies. I am Sang. How may I assist you? Selling remedies is honest
Shit.
work. I came to America after discharge from Chinese Herbal Remedies forces to help aging parents restore. Definitely, I am now American citizen. God bless the Allegiance flag. Chinese invented gunpowder. Yes, I know guns. Hold on, please. These are good remedies for many problems. No credit cards.
Kids. Kids don't know nothing.
No more Yankee my wanky. The finger need food.
Through most of the game, you're given tasks to complete by LaCroix. These serve as the main quest line, and you'll need to finish them to progress the story and unlock new locations. You'll get to meet the other major powers in LA as well. There's the Camarilla, which uphold the status quo and enforce the Masquerade religiously, Anarchs, who respect the Masquerade but hate the politics and hierarchy of the Camarilla, the Sabbat, who don't give a shit about the Masquerade and seek dominion over mankind, and finally, there's the Kuei Jin, Asian vampires that have recently moved into Chinatown and filled it with gacha machines. They use the negative chi formed by gambling, organized crime, and gacha balls to fuel their aggressive business practices. Besides the main story, there's dozens of side missions to complete. None of these are your standard fetch quests either. They force you to think and decide for yourself how to best approach them. Completing missions is important, since that's your only way of getting the experience points necessary for upgrading your character. Most of them can be resolved peacefully by talking or stalking. Some of them, however, cannot. And whether it's from other vampires or the same dude in a wife beater copy-pasted 200 times, violence is inevitable. So building your character to be a smooth-talking, anemic slug might not be the best idea. There's a lot of nightclubs in this game, by the way. They're a good place to feed. They've also got some pretty good music. You can also dance. Even outside, there's some very nice ambience to fit the mood. It makes you feel like you're actually there. This game taught me that Santa Monica is a shithole, so don't feel bad about the people you kill there. In a way, you're saving them from the pain of living in Santa Monica. Bloodlines controls quite simply. You play it in first person while interacting with objects and NPCs, and you pan out to third person whenever you're in combat. Combat can be enjoyable, but mostly it is not enjoyable. Combat boils down to mashing left click while desperately scrolling with your mouse wheel and smashing right click to reactivate blood buff. Oh yeah, every clan's got vampire superpowers or disciplines unique to their bloodline. Many of these cost a lot of blood to use, but they're visually impressive, they can end fights instantly, and they break the monotony of endless button mashing while hoping and praying that your enemy's life bar is smaller than your own. You could use guns instead, but unless you've invested skill points into firearms, you might be dead by the time you take a shot. Outside of combat, you'll be doing everything from investigating serial murders to evicting unfriendly spirits out of hotels. The Ocean House Hotel is there to remind you that just because you're a spooky bloodsucker doesn't mean you're not capable of terror. The Ocean House is so infamous that it's got its own console command to skip the entire sequence. It's probably one of the best horror segments I've ever seen in a game, and they managed to do it without a single jump scare. Just a feeling of pure condensed dread. Your inventory is conveniently infinite, so you...
The one vampire game I played, I can't remember... You played a guy who was basically taken in medieval Europe at some point. And you try to fight your way through, you get put into torpor, you wake up in, I can't remember if it's New York or whatever, but I never really finished the game. It came out way, way early. Back when everybody thought that 3D, when 3D first came out in video games, everybody was looking kind of freaking out over it. Why haven't I played this game?
Never have to worry about space. You'll pick up useful items like blood bags and firepower, and less useful items like birth control and estrogen pills. This game's difficult, and there's a few frustrating points in the story that might make you quit. Point number 1. Hollywood sewers. At some point in the story, you have to find the Nosferatu, as they've gone into hiding for reasons unknown. This has nothing to do with a 3 billion Tsamisi flesh puppets clogging up every sewer drain, and you're gonna have to fight them all, including this big bitch who throws spare ribs at you. Also, there's no blood down in the sewers, so I hope you brought an entire fridge supply of blood with you. Good luck. Luckily, the unofficial patch fixes this completely. The good old games copy comes with a patch pre-installed, so you can take a convenient shortcut and save yourself the pain of going through this programmed hell. Point number 2. Werewolf Park. In this universe, werewolves are incredibly rare. but they're also invincible killing machines. In fact, you can't fight this puppy at all. It's immune to damage and can stun lock you to death in several swipes.
One of the things that I liked about White Wolf RPGs was they actually had it to where werewolves were extremely powerful early on compared to vampires, but vampires, once they got to a certain point, were just godlike. So it would make perfect sense for werewolves to literally beat the crap out of vampires if they're going by White Wolf, which they are.
This all happens in a span of 5 seconds, so most
Shutting
players
up.
never
I'm
even
an
get the
idiot.
chance to understand what the fuck is going on before they meet their final death. Again, again, and again. Even though it kills you in 5 seconds, you're expected to survive for about 5 minutes. Oh, and forget about regenerating your health. Werewolf claws burn through your flesh, so it can't be healed back. However, after years of dying to that same werewolf, I found out you can actually kill it. What the hell? How was I supposed to know that you're actually meant to run into the observatory, flick the circuit breaker outside, run back in, open the dome, lure it into the dome, and crush it to death? How the hell was I supposed to know that? The answer is, I didn't. I had to look it up on the wiki. After years of suffering through the same mission each playthrough, this is oddly satisfying. However, if you can endure past those rough patches in the story,
there were just some levels that you had to find out later about.
you'll start piecing together what's going on. The concern and focus of every major faction in LA is in one way or another centered on the arrival of a certain archaeological treasure, the Ankaran sarcophagus, which throughout the game has a bad habit of getting stolen. What's inside? Who knows? An old Assyrian king? Or a slumbering antediluvian, one of the oldest granddaddy vampires out there, who, if you traced your blood far back enough, might be one of your original fathers. Half a city believes the latter. They also believe that the moment Father Dearest wakes up from his slumber, he's gonna be hungry. Real hungry.
And pissed.
And he'll sate that hunger by feasting on his children. Wherever we go, it is the blood of Cain which makes our fate. Your fate and the fate of the Ankaran sarcophagus are inescapably intertwined. Will you open up the sarcophagus or seal it away for all eternity? That choice is up to you. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, a very unique, flawed, and fantastic diamond of a game. Terrible combat, 0 out of 10. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. Now I'm just fucking with you. 10 out of 10. One of my favorite and one of the most replayable RPGs of all time. There's very few games out there that keep pulling you back over and over again and still manage to make each playthrough different, and this is one of them. Go buy it. Go play it. You won't regret it. Get sucked into the atmosphere. Get a craving addiction for it and replay it every few.
Was there any, like, I know that Paradox is making another vampire game. I don't know if they ever finished it. I have no idea if they ever finished it.
Few years for the rest of your natural life, because there's nothing quite like it. A warm thanks to the many members of...
Basically, Vampire was just one of those games that I never got a chance to play this one. I did play the one that came before it. And that game was ridiculously good for its time. And I mean ridiculously good for its time. I don't even know if it would run anymore. But now, like, I watched something by him the other day for RimWorld, and then I loaded up RimWorld. Don't be surprised if you guys in Discord see me playing Vampire the Masquerade, because... Okay, the difference between his reviews and Maxor's reviews, I laugh my ass off during Maxor's reviews. But I don't feel any urge to play the game. With Seth's reviews, I really want to try the game that he's showing me. And that's not saying anything bad about Maxor at all, because Maxor is absolutely unrelentingly hilarious. But for some reason, the way that Seth presents, you know, everything that he presents, and the gameplay, everything like that, I want to try it. Especially if he gives it high marks. I really want to try it. Now, as far as how my RimWorld experience has been going, I had a colony, 7 colonists, I was feeling good, I was in a permanent summer location, cold snap hits, temperature drops to 0 degrees, and 6 out of my 7 colonists die. 10 out of 10 would play again. all things being said, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. I was intending to record more, but it's starting to rain right now. I've been kind of worried about that all day. It's been raining off and on here. That's why I really haven't been recording it today. If you'd like to support the channel, I have a Discord. I'm an idiot. I have a Patreon down below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys would like to jump into the Discord, there's open comms channels, all this other kind of stuff. Come on in, say hey, have fun. That's it. That's it for me. I don't know. Recording is so hard today for some reason. Yeah, every once in a while you get one of those days where you just don't have a clue how to put one word in front of another word and make a coherent sentence. So you're sitting there trying not to sound like a complete moron, which Bye.